Told you, going to do a cooking video. So here we go. Completely out of my comfort zone. While we're all stuck in our houses during this worldwide pandemic, we may as well take pictures, tell stories, talk about stuff, cook some food. So today I'm making one of my favorite soups. And what we've got is a pound of Italian sausage. You can use sweet, mild, hot. You can mix it, whatever you want. We got 28 ounces of diced tomatoes. I've got a tablespoon. I have a tablespoon of dried Italian seasonings and a tablespoon of dried oregano in here. I'm gonna mince up about 3, 4, 5, 8, 10 cloves of this garlic. I've got a red onion. I got a cup of Orzo pasta. The original recipe didn't call for carrots, but I had some carrots sitting in there I need to use, and I'll throw them into the soup. That's gonna be good. 3 stalks of celery. I have 4 cups of a low sodium chicken broth, some S&P, and some olive oil. The first thing I'm gonna do is get all of this moved away because I gotta deal with some raw meat. So what I kind of see these cooking videos being is just us hanging out. And a little story I wanna tell you while I'm rolling balls is why I started learning how to cook. I meet this girl, Stacy, who's way out of my league, and she is a teacher. She deals with 20, 21 something little kids every day. So she would come down to my house usually on the weekends, like a Friday night, after a whole week of just dealing with kids and all of that. And then a good hour to an hour and a half at least of a drive to get to my house on a Friday. And then I was all excited like a puppy dog when she'd come walking in the door, and I'm like ready to go. And I used to live in this neighborhood called Decatur where it's greater. And Decatur had just like the best places to go out for date night. I learned pretty soon, by the time Friday came around, she was just exhausted. And date night was like another chore, another thing she had to do. And she was great. She never complained. She didn't say, oh, I hate this. She really would have been happy with like ordering a pizza and just chilling out and watching something on TV. I wanted her to come down to my house and have a drink and have a nice meal and to be taken care of and to be pampered. At that point in my life, I could grill a pretty good steak, but man, I didn't know how to like make a nice meal from scratch. I was like, all right, I'm gonna learn how to cook some meals. And that's what I did. BRB. So I am heating up my 6-quart enameled Dutch oven. This is made by Lodge. Amazon Basics has a good one too. It's pretty well rated. I'll give you links to that. I don't want it to heat up empty. I'll put just a bit of oil in there. And while I'm waiting for this to get hot, I'll start chopping up my stuff. So yeah, I meet Stacy, and I just fall for this girl. I kind of think of it as like I'm a peacock. These are my peacock feathers. And while she and I are just chatting and catching up because we haven't seen each other for a week or two, I'm sitting at my chopping board, chopping up dinner. I'm cooking for my boo. She didn't have to make any decisions. She didn't have to like go to the grocery store. She didn't have to do anything. Let's check to see if we get a sizzle. Now, the trick with browning meat is you want to be a little patient. You want it to just sit. I tend to want to like start pushing things around, but I want it to just sit. And then what I'm also looking for is that what the French call fond, the little brown bits that start to stick to the bottom of the pot. You want those. You don't want that to burn, but don't worry about that stuff kind of sticking there at the bottom. That's going to be a key to flavor coming up. So once these are done, which they are almost done, I'm going to take this slab of sausage, pop it in there, and then break it up and get it crumbled so there's little pieces of sausage all through the soup. And while that is going, this goes right into the empty dishwasher. Clean as you cook. Who knew how much these would be worth in this day and age? All right, my balls are done. Now I'm gonna start busting up this sausage that's in here. So let's chop an onion. If I'm making a soup like this, is I will dice up these two halves in different sizes. So I'm gonna come in here and slice almost all the way through, but not quite, 2 times. Not to let that thing come out and cut your fingers. I'm gonna make some thin slices down through it. Keeping an eye on my sausage. Now I am by no means a master at knife skills. I have recently taken a class. I'm gonna keep a good grip on this, and I'm gonna come in and finely dice this up. And I know for a fact, some of you who know what you're doing in the kitchen are judging the out of me right now, and that's okay. But I want to show you that, you know what? I will put myself out there and try something different, knowing full well that I'm not that great at it. This is where it gets slip. If you feel your knife slipping, let go, because it'll slide somewhere. And this end of the onion isn't as important, so don't cut yourself for it. Squirt of oil. And now for the onion. Get my little board scraper here. This thing is awesome. I went to that knife skills class and they had these. And I was like, that's awesome. That's great. I want one of those. Onions. All right, so I'm going to turn this heat down just a bit now that I have the onions in there. Those onions can burn really quickly, and I want them to sit. And I want them to just kind of cook and get soft. I don't want them to burn. So I will keep them moving around. This is another cool little thing that I started using recently. A little garlic roller. Give it a little roll. Wink. There you go. It stopped sizzling, so that means I turned it down too low. Now I'm gonna throw this stuff in. So that's got 5-10-ish minutes until that starts to soften up. That is time to clean up a little bit. Time to pour your date another drink. Pour yourself a drink, which is what I'm about to do. All of this is looking good and it's smelling good. And see, that's the other thing about date night is you got the music playing, you got a drink, and the smells coming out of your kitchen. I'm gonna move all of these veggies around to the edge, and I'm gonna drop my garlic right in the middle. That garlic does not need much time in there, just start to get fragrant. I haven't really done any salt and pepper up to this point, but this is about the time I start adding a little bit of that. So now comes the fun part cooking for me, is deglazing the pot. When I learned about deglazing, my mind was blown. I'm like, whoa, I never have to scrub a pot or pan again. So my heat is up. I got a good sizzle. I'm gonna grab a little bit of my broth and pour just a little bit in there and start scraping up all of those yummy brown bits that have stuck to the bottom of my pot down there. In with the broth. I'm gonna add my tomatoes. In goes my herbs. Pour in my water. While that is starting to come back up to a boil, I don't want it a full boil, but I want it to start to simmer a little bit. I'm gonna grind up my fennel. This fennel, this is what makes this soup for me. I think I've got about a full tablespoon of fennel seeds, and I'm gonna add it to the soup until I start to smell it. Oh, it smells so good. Now then, I'm just gonna add about half of this fennel in there. You good? You smelling that sausage? Oh, I'm smelling the sausage. Does it smell good? It smells so good. Where was I? Ooh, I'm seeing little bubbles. So this is the point where I start smelling for the fennel. I want to just Just smell it. I don't want it to be like, oh my God, fennel. Never can have too much. You can have too much fennel. Might as well throw in my Orzo. Grab my sausage. That Orzo likes to go right down there to the bottom and stick. Steaming up my glasses. If you're making a bunch of soup and you want to save or freeze it later, the coolest thing I have found, and you open this sucker up and you can pour your soup in, has little half cup or 1 cup increments in there, stick it in your freezer, and then you get this. It's like little Lego bricks of soup, and you can stick 8 of those cup size into a 1 gallon storage bag and put them in your freezer. If you like soup and you like to freeze soup, get you some of these super cubes. This video not brought to you by Super Cubes, but if you would like to use my affiliate link to purchase one, I would appreciate it. Okay, put my Lego soup away. I want to do some more of these. I want to cook some of my favorite dishes with you, and while I cook, we'll talk about stuff. Talk about life and photography. I'll answer questions that maybe have come up in the comments, and we'll make a meal out of it. And really, I want to encourage those of you who don't know how to cook and you have a loved one at home that you just love and admire and you want to get your peacock feathers going, clean your kitchen, find yourself a recipe on Pinterest somewhere and cook for them. Put on some music and get dancing and showing your feathers a little bit. And keep your kitchen clean. Number 1, keep your damn kitchen clean.